Can a documentary about you be made without your consent? If it were to happen to you, how would you feel? Second, isn't that inappropriate and petty? It's similar to your sex tape being released. For a moment, I laughed. Yes, indeed, precisely. A couple of seconds. They seem to be laughing without your consent, and you're not real porn. The lighting was either non-existent or inadequate. Indeed, they are attempting to discredit you. What? Yes, I was caught on a bad day. I didn't even use my phone for a minute or two. This captured a weak one. Oh no. Have you noticed how dim the lighting is? Oh no. Have you noticed how dim the lighting is? Minutes and seconds don't seem like much on the internet. Minutes of text. However, I would assume that I wouldn't be worried. If they are cheering you on, I think they want someone to make a 1-minute documentary about you. You want it to be an amazing documentary that highlights your uniqueness and accomplishments. Much like your minute-by-minute documentary, it is really popular. For example, you don't want a documentary on you to depict your entire persona as weak. Such acts are insignificant. Minutes, seconds, without a doubt. Among other things, we're going shopping. Do you understand what I'm saying? You people are doing cartwheels, I've heard. After a minute, I asked, laughing, Felix, it's like we have a cartwheel. We do cartwheels and break dances everywhere you go. Minutes, seconds, and cards for me. A cartwheel was given to whom? It looks like a real rotation minute by minute. Do you understand what I mean? In case you were unaware, we are going to begin the cartwheels. Okay, Jimmy, let me check the automobile for a minute or two. I'll look into the matter. It's my man, laughing for a few minutes, then called Jim Jones again. This isn't responding. Right now, we're heading back to the gym. Right now, you already know. I left the gym in a matter of minutes and seconds. Right now, we're heading back to the gym. For a few seconds, I smoke. Where are you? Get your FaceTime out. When you yell, you're dodging queens. Giggling. Seconds and minutes. Jim Jones is officially at his lowest point. It's difficult to comprehend how he accesses the internet during all of this. For some reason, Jim Jones thought it would be a good idea to fight St. Jim Jones. Now the dispatched minutes and checkmate corner are surrounded from all sides. It didn't seem like minutes or seconds at all, but the whole event quickly went out of control. To make sure everything makes sense, let's take a brief glance back. When they talked about the Diddy documentary, Jim Jones and his co-host were obviously unhappy. They were acting badly, speaking slickly, and making disparaging remarks. Cent doesn't let things go when news reaches him, as you well know. He participated in more than simply online discussions. He had a peculiar gait. Jim Minutes was contacted, according to reports. Seconds, Jones Building's landlord. This is when things become complex. According to reports, Jim Jones and the landlord were already at odds. She consented to assist after a short while. The landlord then starts summarizing everything, evaluating Jim Jones's company, and stating that eviction is already underway because of unpaid rent at that time. The entire scenario shifted from online rumors to actual pressure. A few seconds later, they claimed that Jim Jones was essentially squatting since he refused to leave the building. Things have gotten so bad. This didn't begin in a few minutes or seconds. It began simply today. Cent had already been putting pressure on Jim Jones and making him uncomfortable before any of this eviction. Chatter even got out of hand. This quickly became a private issue. It all began with a discussion about the documentary Cent's minutes seconds between Jim Jones and his co-host. They made it apparent that they didn't think a documentary about Diddy was appropriate. The remarks didn't set well at all. Instead of exchanging remarks online, Second took a firm stand after learning about it. Minutes per second. Would you like to rent it? Okay, fine, I said. He has been attempting to construct it since October, but he refuses to sign the lease. I don't like these terms. He replies, I want a ridiculous build-out for about 6 months. Furthermore, we currently own half of the material that Minutes and Seconds produces thanks to a cooperation agreement. But he won't reveal how much money he makes from all of this. I'll sell you half of the business if you want to purchase half of what he makes. Minutes, seconds. He's not a firm. He is really crazy. Minutes and seconds don't actually matter to me. However, I just add that as a sweetener if it's for you. All right. In other words, we signed a lease. Right now, I believe he owes a few minutes, if not seconds. His reply, okay, let me get in touch with the landlord of the building where that podcast is being filmed and see what's really going on, was ridiculous. When he got in touch with the landlord, he had no idea that Jim Jones and the landlord were already at odds. According to reports, Jim Jones refused to accept the landlord's assertions that he owed him a substantial amount of money. When the landlord became involved, He began disclosing every detail of Jim Jones's business and financial problems, including minutes and seconds. This whole issue changed from podcast chat to real estate chess moves in a span of minutes and seconds. Sent allegedly learned that the building where Jim Jones was filming had no heat just moments before, thanks to the landlord. Minutes, seconds. Do you not think it's funny that I'm at the top of your Explorer in the beginning of the year? Minutes, seconds. Since everyone wants to promote my company, I might as well discuss it with you. I'm now on the second stage of construction. We are inaccessible to the general public. This is a blank space in terms of minutes and seconds. Although I haven't yet determined exactly what I want to achieve in the area, I was considering leaving a small effect. It could be minutes or seconds, but we'll have to wait and see. For a few minutes now, the eviction procedure has already started. They allegedly turned off the heat to make him leave. According to reports, Jim Jones remained inside for a short while as they attempted to free him. That is incredibly disorganized. Instead of remaining silent, now that he has all of this knowledge, Sent takes a few moments and begins to express it. Jim Jones, on the other hand, appears to be doing well while continuously jumping online. He is withholding information, refuting allegations, implying that he and the landlord get along well, and even implying that the building is essentially his. However, the story quickly shifted when the no heat minutes issue and eviction rumors began to surface. Then, in an attempt to demonstrate his strength, Jim Jones releases a building tour. He is taking minutes and going from room to room while talking about ideas for upgrades, new manufacturing areas, expansion, and other topics. The property owner is supposedly attempting to evict him while renovations are ongoing, and he is depicting this as an expanding empire. The entire situation appears disjointed and perplexing due to that contrast. This is the issue with hustle culture of the moment. Not everyone wants to lock in and carry out business efficiently, but everyone wants to appear active, post the grind, and flaunt the lights and cameras. In a matter of minutes and seconds, Jim Jones is creating an entire business in an area where he is purportedly not even allowed to be. People begin to raise their eyebrows after a few minutes or seconds. He founded the IFC plant. It is marketed as a minute-seconds creative hub, a content studio where anyone may rent space to take pictures, record podcasts, and work on their own minute-seconds projects. It's even listed online for roughly $1 per hour for at least 1 hour. Minutes, and seconds. At first glance, it appears formal and well-organized. Here's the twist. There appears to be movement. According to reports, all of this is taking place while eviction attempts are still in progress. Behind the scenes, minutes and seconds continue to pass. Some refer to it as reckless because of this. There are rumors that the only reasons he has been allowed to stay this long are his wealth and his ability to sue under New York tenant rules. He appeared to learn how to follow those guidelines in a matter of minutes, which bought him some time. Many people find it dangerous and perplexing to establish an empire in the midst of a dispute if the property owner is trying to get rid of him. As he noted in his minutes today that there has been movement in the eviction procedure. The next measures, according to what is being considered, are minute-second enforcement and Jim Jones's official departure from the building. According to reports, an eviction notice was placed a few seconds away from the entrance and addressed to the management of IFC, the business connected to Jim Jones' studio. Minutes and seconds seem so real because of this. The notification was about the IFC factory activity, the content studio he had been working on for minutes. The IFC management there gave it to Joseph Jones. Additionally, this office space is worth more than a few minutes. With several stories and units with various addresses, the property is enormous. First level, second minutes, second floor, different portions. The entire situation is made considerably more dreadful by the enormous setup. It appears that legal action is still necessary after closely examining the contents of the supplied material for minutes and seconds. He cut the knife in a matter of minutes and seconds. The knife was cut by us. Seconds and minutes. Matt, what's going on? Excellent. No. What are you talking about? Minutes or seconds? You're not meant to be heard. Minutes or seconds? You're not meant to be heard. You know, you let the knife fall. Minutes. A couple of seconds. A notice of default, which is essentially a demand for unpaid money, was allegedly distributed by the landlord. Before stricter enforcement is implemented, there is a formal warning period that lasts for a few minutes. Therefore, even with the progress, the battle may not be over yet. According to reports, the first notice was issued on January 1st and expired on January 2nd. The minutes show that after the deadline was addressed, it was not paid for. On February 2nd, a one-day notice of termination was delivered, and it expired on February 2nd. Minutes and seconds. According to what has been revealed, there may still be a period before full enforcement takes place, which might entail a little window of time as the process advances. Obtaining a formal eviction order and possibly having a sheriff execute it would be the next step. Minutes. All right, what's going on? What took place? Yes, I'm doing well, it's mine. Hey, minutes and seconds. This would grow into a significant public gathering. In terms of minutes and seconds, I therefore hope it never gets to that stage. At this point, it gets even more intense. Minutes and seconds. Scent was able to obtain footage of Jim Jones' Seconds building in a matter of minutes. It's still unclear how he obtained them. He certainly have a relationship with the landlord in this case, but some claim there are more levels at play. In any case, a lot of comments were made about the footage that was posted online. Jim Jones appears to have attempted to enter a number of the building's closed rooms in the video. Minutes that have been made public. According to reports, some of those minutes and seconds were employed to control the heat that had been turned off. There are allegations that the property's owner shut the doors, making it possible to see efforts to enter particular areas for minutes or even seconds. The optics don't look good for minutes and seconds. Ultimately, whether out of perplexity or frustration, it only adds a dramatic new chapter to an already turbulent situation. His partner enters a room and begins turning on and off the light switch a few seconds into the video. "Hey yo minutes, Jimmy," he says. "They cut the lights off." Bro, that statement says it all. There was a tense, unpleasant atmosphere about the area. There was no feeling of flexibility. Because there was a sense of survival, people mistrusted the entire situation. Jim Jones is not your average person attempting to succeed in a matter of minutes or seconds. He has access to real money, real connections, and real opportunities, since he is a well-known artist. Why even put yourself in this situation in a matter of minutes or seconds? Why not obtain the necessary funding? Use a bank if necessary. In a minute, close a legitimate sale and properly construct your studio from the ground up to make it appear strong rather than disorganized. Rumors were circulating that the building owed $1 minutes, seconds, or months ago. People are curious about what it might look like now if that figure had been true in the past. If the space isn't cheap, stepping back might be a better strategy to protect your brand than confronting it. Minutes, seconds. Nobody wants to see things go worse. And carrying on with this tense back and forth only makes things worse and makes headlines. Jim Jones's frustration is evident throughout the entire film. Despite the absence of audio minutes or seconds, he appears energized, pacing, and moving quickly. It's not a calm moment. In order to flick the necessary switches or breakers and revive the minute-seconds building, he is obviously attempting to find the room where the landlord allegedly shut off the heat. The situation feels intense as a result. It's elevated when you consider the previous tour video. As Jim Jones talked, you could almost see his breath in the air on a used camera. That usually indicates that the interior is freezing. Furthermore, most of the podcast episodes with Dave East, Minutes Fabulous, and Mino are jam-packed. Suits, coats, and hoodies with layers. There is never a bad feeling in the room. People were talking just by looking at that photo. You guys were evicted years ago. That is gloomy and repulsive. All of you have had short but apparently successful careers. It's awful to be evicted at such a young age. Minutes, seconds. Bob, you've been rapping for years. It is disgusting to be unable to pay your rent. Jim Jones, you spent 4 years doing a lot of gangbanging minutes and seconds. It's horrible if you can't pay your rent. You started shooting at them after robbing the entire Brooklyn and minutes. Mayo, it's terrible if you didn't steal enough cash to cover your rent. Man, I'm sorry to tell you all. It's simply not fashionable to kick indoors when you're years, minutes, and seconds old. Additionally, since you used to say that you were lobby boys, bodega boys, podcast boys, or what's called minutes con squatters, I might have been the civilian to bring the little children who are watching you guys. I'll guide the audience you're attempting to draw in. Greetings, planets. Never act in this manner. Seconds and minutes. Instead of knocking on doors to strike up a conversation, you should be relaxing with your feet up, enjoying an opulent lifestyle with plenty of kids that you're taking minutes, seconds, and various goods to show off. Jim Jones, clearly agitated about what's occurring, beckons people over as he leaves the scene in the most recent video. Minutes, seconds. At that point, it doesn't seem like a smooth procedure. The optics are not good. Whether it's seconds, minutes, pressure from the circumstance, or just a terrible day, everyone watching can sense the tension in the moment for minutes at a time. He appears to be pleading with everyone to settle down so they can approach the door. Many others are claiming that the entire situation, which lasted only a few minutes, felt heavy. Jim appears exhausted. breathing heavily, disheveled, and devoid of vitality. It doesn't appear to be a matter of minutes or seconds. There appears to be a real-time increase in pressure. This year, what did you do the best? Yes, minutes and seconds. Being able to squat without restriction. Minutes, seconds, minutes, seconds. Laughter. He started it all, according to his detractors, because he wanted to flaunt himself online. It's an inspiring picture to have your own factory, a renovated building, and a creative hub in a matter of minutes. But things become ugly when the administrative and legal load outweigh the flex. It's difficult because other people are also attached to that area. Minutes, seconds. According to reports, a lady uses the IFC arrangement to do a chat show and rent out Peerspace. This location is linked to schedules, reservations, and revenue streams. Minutes, seconds. Her options may be impacted if the building's condition deteriorates. The impact is genuine. At this point, it becomes much more complicated. C has established a direct line of communication with the property owner in a couple of minutes and seconds. The same individual has reportedly been disseminating minute-by-minute updates and specifics of behind-the-scenes activities. It extends beyond just responding online if that relationship is strong. He will be receiving first-hand knowledge in a matter of minutes and seconds. As a result, the entire dynamic changes once more. They now claim that this individual is driven by a craving for power. It's as if he enjoys the limelight and the mayhem around it. Here's the twist though. In minutes and seconds, he reportedly emailed a section of the building. Sam is my partner because of this, he declared. The joint is just a few seconds away from me. If this allegation is true, he now owns a portion of the property as well. Then the tone abruptly shifted. It started off as jokes and turned into corporate pressure after an online discussion that essentially warned that every damaged door had to be fixed or there would be an issue. If you are damaging property that is now held by someone else, things quickly get out of hand. Minutes, seconds. There seems to be more going on here than just social media back and forth. And it's not only Jim at the end in minutes and seconds. The podcast has increased the level of tension. There have been several arguments and fights with Mono, and as of right now, some of that energy is also coming back to Jim. In this game, enemies are inherited. Following that, academics began discussing Jim Mano Divist and Fabulous on live minutes and seconds. As soon as media figures and streamers joined, the discussion expanded. Seconds and minutes. It's no longer only a building problem. In just a few minutes and seconds, everyone is witnessing the entire web drama play out. Something must be understood by Jim Jones too. Minutes, seconds. You can't get out of this one by making jokes. Minutes, seconds. When the topic of unpaid rent and squatting first came up, they entered the program and began making jokes about squatters as if it were all fun. Minutes, seconds. There was a lot of forced humor in that show. Minutes, seconds. But jokes are only effective when they are untrue. Punchlines lose their impact once paperwork and receipts start to circulate. The music begins to sound weird after a few minutes. Laugh it off if it's only an unconfirmed rumor. But it becomes awkward to make jokes about alarms, default minutes, seconds letters, and eviction procedures in public. It feels real now. Minutes and seconds are no longer imaginary. They are making connections. This round feels different because of that. Minutes, seconds. At first, they assumed it was simply online hyperbole or joking. It appears that there were legitimate legal rights to remain in the building for an extended length of time under tenant legislation.